We're live. The AllStar MMA live show back in action for another week. UFC London just commenced about 24 hours ago, I believe so. I don't know. It was wacky times, man. You guys are in the States. I'm over here in Asia. I mean, I was up at 1 a.m. trying to watch the fights. Didn't last through the whole thing. Fell asleep. You guys were lucky to have it in the afternoon. But before we get into all the action, make sure you guys go in the descriptions and download the AllStar app, play the game, make your picks. J-Spec got the league going on. Shout out to our guys at Pro Sports Podcasters. They're all on the app as well. I just did their show just recently, so big up to them. And yeah, compete against them as well. You know what I mean? Compete against J-Spec, compete against me. I'm still making my picks in there, and Sicko as well, man. They're all on there. We're all on there. So get on it and show your ass. J-Spec, are we almost at the end of the month? Yeah, we're almost at the end of the
Yeah,
month, right?
yeah, we are,
Do
man.
you have a
we got
winner?
we will after this coming up event. Poirier Gage
Okay.
2 will be the final say so, and who gets to
Oh shit.
take the month's championship. So yeah, it's a big one. It's for all the marbles, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably end up talking about next week's card coming up, because that one is a banger of a card. So we got to get our little opinions in there. I see that there's a lot of uh conflict online right now between like certain MMA media people and YouTubers, and it's like, to me, it's MMA media and YouTubers. It's like the same thing now. To be honest with you, right? It's like
100%.
Where's the difference?
I don't know. Why are they conflicting with each other? It makes me laugh. But anyways, if you guys are watching live right now, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and also leave your comments on the fights. What do you think of UFC London? If you could give a grade to the whole card as as a whole, Sicko, what would you grade that card?
Oh, man. Considering that it was in London as well, like a D. Like a D, C minus, maybe, to be honest with you. I felt like the energy of London lacked from what we're used to, which obviously I think the last one was a pay-per-view. Right? Was that Leon Edwards was a pay-per-view, so a little bit different. But even the fight nights in London, man, I'm used to craziness. I'm used to the crowd and everything being high level. Dare I say that it's just not the same without Paddy Pimblett? Like, it just felt like it lacked something. It lacked something in that card. And then we had just a long string of decision after decision. And even though some of them were great fights, it's just like, dang, man, it really was a little lackluster for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you pick Aspinall?
Yeah, I picked Aspinall. I picked him second round submission, but I picked him to finish the fight. I thought he was gonna get him out pretty early, man. He looked incredible.
I picked him second round TKO, but we all know what happened in the fight. Yeah, it just seems like the card and the matchmaking as well. They didn't really do a great job with this one. I think that they relied so much on just the momentum that they had, right, from the pay-per-view and previous London cards, and because there were always a banger, right? There was always great fights on them, and like you said, maybe Paddy Pimblett is the secret sauce. And the secret sauce, when you take it out of a great dish, it's just a dish, right? Because the sauce makes it great. J-Spec, what'd you think? What would you grade this? I agree with Sicko. I give it a D, man. It wasn't very good.
I think you guys are a little harsh. A D. A D was I don't know about a D. I'll give it a
double D.
I'll give no. Hey, that's fun.
Dallas.
I think it's average. I think it's an average card, and I think we're all a little spoiled on how great the most recent cards were with how many underdogs pulled through, how many finishes we've had lately, the flow of it all. Hey, and you know what? For once, the crowd in London acted like an American crowd. That's what I'm gonna say. They were like, we'll cheer enough for how much you're doing for us. That's how they were kind of approaching the fight versus their usual fanfare that they bring are notorious for any kind of fighting, really. So, man, I don't know. It was a little bit instead of like saying it was missing Patty, the secret ingredient to the magic sauce, maybe this mix just sucked from the beginning. Like maybe just everything about it was just not there, and we got what we asked for. If you like, for as many times as I defend fight cards from people boohooing it before the fight happens, now that this fight has happened and you look at it, you go, all right. The only thing I can say is the good thing is the headline went to plan, right? Aspinall, he's supposed to be recovered. That's why he's so back so fast. So I'm glad the script went to plan, even though the card wasn't all that great. I give it a C once again.
Fighters, they always talk about, I want to fight in front of a crowd. You know what I mean? It's gonna be so epic, and a lot of these fighters got opportunity in London to fight in front of a crowd, and you see guys go to the apex and perform way better, like go after it way harder. Yeah. I just didn't see that in some of these fights, right? Some of these fights, it's just they were kind of duds, man. Like, and you usually don't see me talking like this about fights, but this London card was not, it was probably at the bottom 5 of UFC events this year. Like it wasn't very good. The results, like you said, it's not about going to decisions, because decisions can be great. You know what I mean? If both guys are going after it, decisions can be good. Back to back, whatever decisions. It doesn't matter how many decisions there are. There could be great fights. Usually, most fight of the nights are decisions, right? They go to the judges. But some of these fights were just, I don't know. It surprised me a little bit. You know what I mean? Because they beg to be in front of a crowd, and this is the result of it. And I think the matchmakers will remember these performances and be very careful when they rematch these fighters up. Anyways, let's get into the main event, brought to you by the AllStar. I'm just doing a plug. Tom Aspinall, he comes back from a knee injury. Who was it against? I think it was against Curtis Blades, right? When he got injured.
Yep.
In like the first round, in the opening round, like at the opening seconds, he did a little dance and like blew out his knee. None of that is left. You know what I mean? He goes in there 1:13 in the first round, TKOs Marcin Tybura. Was it an early stoppage, J-Spec? A lot of people are screaming early.
Nah, not at all. Like everything about that fight was good. It was amazing. Like, I don't know why people were trying to like find something to grumble about. Like, even in a great comeback performance in heavyweight category where just, science, weight times force and all that stuff. So that's a delicate joint, the knee. That's literally the anchor point of every athlete in every sport. And to see him look amazing and get the kill, if you will, that early stoppage, bro, against a guy like Tybura, like don't discredit Tybura. Like, he wasn't complaining and stuff. Like, not the way I remember it on the spot. Like, maybe later, I don't know if there's any drama from that now, but dude, good fight, good outcome. It's what you want to see in most cases. Once again, I don't understand the groaning, which we can always find something in the MMA fan base to groan about. There's nothing to be upset about here. The only thing to do is, if you're on Tybura's side, of course, you want to see him do well, bounce back from this fight. But man, I said it in the beginning, I'll say it again. Coming back from a knee injury, no matter what, once again on the main, not just on the main card, the name on the card, after blowing like all that pressure in her hometown, like sparklers and flying colors for Tom Aspinall, dude. Like, well done, dude. I don't want to hear any drama.
Am I wrong, Sicko? I think people were saying that he headbutted him or something, because there was a lot of headbutts on this event, right? There was one where 2 guys headbutted each other on accident. That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when they came in together? Yeah. I guess, I don't know, man. To me, it was just, I guess I was just really marveled at Tommy Aspinall. He gave me what I always liked about him. He's quick, he's slick, his movement is not that of a heavyweight. He looked sharp, he looked amazing, he pieced him up. This fight went the way I thought it would win. Was a stoppage too early for me? Yes, just because I had him by submission. but was it too early? in reality, no, it was a good stoppage, man. He was beating the crap out of him. Tybura knew he lost. You want to know if it's too early? Look at the fighter. Look at the opposing fighter. Like Rob said, he was not protesting immediately. He was getting beat up, and he stopped the fight. And yeah, that's what I expected from Tom Aspinall. I thought he was going to be too slick, too sharp for Tybura, and he was. Credit to him. Anybody trying to take away from it, like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
There's two narratives that I want to talk about coming out of this fight, this performance. The first narrative is Tom Aspinall being the greatest heavyweight prospect that the UFC has ever seen. J-Spec, give your opinion on that.
I think MMA / UFC / AI robot / all media concerned involved with this should have a limiter on how many times the word greatest can be applied in a single month of writing stuff in this sport. It's everything's I love this sport. You love this sport. We love this sport. Not everything all the time is the fucking greatest thing ever. Okay, like it doesn't have Tom Aspinall. Maybe no, I don't think so. I think the greatest challenger of anything all time would go unscathed. Would never blow out a joint or have a questionable body part. Like that would be the greatest prospect ever in the history of something. Like not taking anything from Tom Aspinall. Like, dude, keep fighting, dude. You're young. You're like everything modern MMA hopes to see. Like you got a lot of fans, bro. Like everyone talks pretty highly about you and expects great things from you. You're only 30, right? 30? Like,
yeah.
Dude, you have literally nothing but a highway of prime time in the heavyweight division inside of you right now. So all the best, like I don't know what to say.
What do you think? Could you name a better heavyweight prospect
ever all time?
Yes.
Dang, good question. Off the top of my head, no, I guess not, because a lot of the great heavyweights we see generate from light heavyweight, the light heavyweight division. So just they wouldn't be prospects at the time that happens. So I guess not. I don't know. Yeah, maybe let it happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say Brock. His status coming into the UFC. I mean, what was his second fight? The title fight. Something like that.
So.
That's thank you. I never even considered.
But Brock, was he a prospect though? Like Brock was someone
who never fought before, right?
Yeah.
If anything, I would say to me that's more of a prospect. Some dude who has never actually had an MMA fight is already, geared up to be the heavyweight champion of the world, and then he actually did deliver. We know what happened after he delivered on that title, but still, different time, different era, everything changes, right? But if you want to say he's the most skilled, the most well-rounded heavyweight we've ever seen, I think that's a better conversation than just like, oh, he's the greatest prospect ever. Because at this point, like he's ready. Tom doesn't need to prove anything else. I think his skill speaks for itself. I am completely on that hype train of Tom Aspinall. Like I think he's exactly what people say he is, man. He is so damn good, and he's been showing it on his feet. And people forget, like he can submit you. He's great on the ground too. Like I can't wait to see him get this next big matchup. That's what was supposed to happen with Curtis Blades. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way, but I can't wait for the next one.
We'll see. Antoine Willis, what's going on, man? I feel like people were saying the same about Ciryl Gane and Kane as well, right? You're right, man. You're right. Ciryl Gane got a lot of hype as he was running through the heavyweight division. Cain Velasquez as well. That's
a great point. That's a great point, right? Ciryl Gane was, I mean, his rise was fast. It's all recency bias because Ciryl Gane, he didn't even pop into my head because we kind of dumped him. Like we saw him out there against the two former champions, and we're like, Ciryl is gone. But in reality, he was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be Francis. He was a guy that could possibly give John Jones problems. And I appreciate
all of you guys having such great answers because on the spot, I was like, man, am I going to be
There's that narrative. There's that narrative you just mentioned. People are talking about Aspinall versus Jones, like already. You know what I mean? Does a victory over Tybura land you in a fight against John Jones? That's, you know what I mean? Like people are saying, oh, if they do it in the UK, in a big arena, John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. But does that really even entice John Jones to go over to the UK to fight? What does that do for him, really, to be honest with you? Like, to his legacy, because he has money. I mean, of course, you want more money, but it's not about the money anymore. It's about the legacy. It's about beating the biggest names. And that's why he's taking the Stipe fight. I think if Stipe wasn't around, John Jones would retire. I don't think he would fight again, to be honest with you.
Correct.
But the UFC's making a big cash grab, one last cash grab to entice John Jones to fight one more time in his own state of New York. And John Jones, I think he said that he's going to retire after this fight, after he beats so-called the greatest heavyweight of all time, because that's what he wants. He wants the title of the greatest light heavyweight of all time, the greatest heavyweight of all time, and then equals 1 + 1 = 2, the greatest fighter of all time, right? That's what John Jones wants. I don't think the UFC has, and they're not going to spend the money to give John Jones a fight against. And why risk it against Tom Aspinall? It's like risking it against Pavlovich. You know what I mean? That's why John Jones is not fighting Pavlovich. You know, outright, Pavlovich is the number one contender in the heavyweight division, but there's a reason why he's not fighting Pavlovich. I want to see Aspinall versus Pavlovich. I think that's the fight. If you really want to throw that narrative out there that Aspinall can compete with John Jones, let's see if Pavlovich and Antoine, he read my mind. Does Aspinall beat Pavlovich? Does he, Sicko?
That's a tough fight for Aspinall. Man, Pavlovich looks like a monster. Does he beat him? I can see it. Like I said, he's so well-rounded that I can see him just being able to put together a mixed game plan enough where he is level changing. He's dancing on the outside. He's being a tough target for Pavlovich and being able to outpoint him for a while. And let's see if Pavlovich can go into rounds 4. I think cardio-wise, I would probably give the edge to Aspinall. It might be a little unfair to Pavlovich because we haven't had to see it. But just off top, I mean, when have you seen Aspinall get tired? His movement is great. Making Pavlovich chase him a little bit might be the answer. So can he beat him? Yes. Does he? That's a completely different story. Would I bet the house on him? No. I'm not betting the house on anybody to beat Pavlovich after what that dude's been showing us. I mean, that is a monster. Like, that power. And you would say, okay, maybe the grappling department, Curtis Blades couldn't do it. He couldn't take him down. Tough fight for Tom Aspinall. But that is, I agree with you, though, John. That is the next fight I want to see from him.
The Pavlovich-Curtis Blades fight, that one was, I think, more on Curtis Blades trying to stand and strike with Pavlovich when there clearly was, something that he could do otherwise, which is the grappling, which is the wrestling. But, maybe Curtis Blades thought, man, I'm going to get tired trying to take this guy down, so maybe I'm going to try to knock him out.
I mean, maybe the Derek Lewis fight might have had an effect on that. I don't want to just go in shooting, take an uppercut from this dude and be out. Let me try to stand and then get him when he's not expecting him.
Is he saying Aspinall hasn't beaten an elite heavyweight yet? Well, if you go back to Aspinall's record in his last couple of fights, of course, the Curtis Blades fight, you take that out. He beat Volkov, which is a top 15 guy, and he beat Sergey Spivak. He's a top 15 guy as well. You see, the thing about elite, the word elite, there's a difference in meaning for everybody. Some people think elite is like championship level is elite. Some people think top 15 is elite. Some people think just UFC is elite, right? Everybody has a different perspective on the word elite. But if we're looking at elite, I in my mind, elite is top 15. That's the best of the best in the world. And I know rankings don't mean shit, but the UFC puts out rankings and they feel like these guys are the top 15 in their eyes. They're the elite guys. Aspinall has beaten elite guys. And Tibera he's ranked as well. You know what I mean? So he is an elite heavyweight. But could you explain to us what your definition of elite is? What's your definition of elite, J-Spec?
Dropping my phone and stuff. Oops, sorry. Definition of elite. Like you said, there's actually layers, just like you mentioned. For me personally, elite means top 5. To me, that's what elite means. Like the very, very best, the small cluster of people at the top that on any given night, one fight the other, and you'll get a different outcome, every single time. So that to me is elite.
What's your definition, Sicko, of elite?
I mean, elite to me is top of the top. Like, the absolute championship status is elite to me. But you can't really say he hasn't beaten anybody. It's like, have you ever seen the job interviews where they're like, we can't hire you because you don't have the experience? It's like, well, how am I supposed to get the experience if nobody hires me for it? So it's like, has he beaten the elite guys? No, but to me, elite is John Jones. That's elite. So, like, of course, he hasn't beaten him because he hasn't fought him yet. But yeah, it just depends on your definition. But he's beaten quality guys. He's beaten the guys that it takes to get to the Pavlovich, to be one more win away from a title fight. That he has done, in my opinion, for sure, without a doubt.
Crazy Pato, what's going on, Pato? I don't understand why the media is hyping John's next fight as a legacy fight when he is facing a 40-year-old, 2 years layoff, part-time, coming off a KO loss. Well, the thing is, he's considered the greatest of all time in the heavyweight division by a lot of people. It's all about name recognition. You put that onto your record, nobody's going to remember that he was a 40-year-old off a 2-year layoff when you have a TKO victory in your last fight and you retire. And then, years and years later, they're just going to see the name and see what you did to them. People forget those things. And to me, that's why they consider it a legacy fight, because it's a name recognition. It's status, right? Us, if we dig deeper into it, yes, Stipe is a 40-something-year-old fighter that hasn't fought in years, that is coming off a KO loss. We know all these things, right? But for most people, they'll forget that. You know what I mean? And when the UFC hypes the fight for casuals, they're not going to say that he's 40 years old, coming off a 2-year layoff, coming off a KO loss to Francis Ngannou. They're not going to say that. They're going to be saying that he is the greatest of all time in the heavyweight division. And John Jones gets this opportunity to chase after that title. That's what it is, right? And John Jones is the champion right now, right? That's why I think a lot of people are going to start rooting for Stipe. As the fight gets closer, there's going to be a lot of people rooting for Stipe to win this fight. Because why? It shuts down. There's so much hate on John Jones, right? So much hate, and justifiably so much hate. But when you look at fighting, just fighting, that's it. John Jones, it's hard to bet against him, against anybody, right? We've seen it. What do you think of this? Like the hyping of John Jones's fight as a legacy fight, this one, Sicko?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, like you said, when they build this fight, when they have the highlights, you think they're going to show him getting knocked out by Francis? No, they're going to show his wins against DC. They're going to show him
Francis.
And Francis. They're going to show the wins. They're going to show that they're going to have the soundbite of Joe Rogan calling him the greatest heavyweight of all time. Like, that's what they're going to have, and that's why John Jones is taking this fight. John Jones having a fight against some young guy who everyone thinks. I get why people don't want John to fight Stipe, because ultimately they just want to see John Jones lose. They dislike John Jones so much that they're like, as soon as he loses, I can start discrediting him. But I can't discredit him if he doesn't lose. So please give me someone that I would favor against John Jones, so that way I can start building up the discredit of John Jones, which, like you said, if you only, and nothing against those people that dislike him, I can't argue for John Jones. He is a hard person to argue for on behalf of, because of the stuff he does. But like you said, if you're only looking at fighting, just fighting, John Jones is only setting a higher bar for himself. He's already said it. The level of GOAT, that talk of who's the greatest ever, he already has it. He's just trying to nudge it up just a little more so that no one could reach it. And Stipe is the one that does that. That name is the one that does that more than an Aspinall. If he beats an Aspinall and Aspinall loses another fight or two, it doesn't do anything for him.
Yeah, and that's why everybody wants him to fight Pavlovich, because that's the most dangerous fight. For John Jones. And John Jones knows that. John Jones ain't stupid. The dude is probably one of the most cerebral fighters that we've ever seen. You saw him during fight week, like during the embedded. He was watching film during fight week and telling everybody, I don't understand. If you're fighting, why don't you not do your homework? This is a test. Like, these are tests for me. Cyril Gahn's playing soccer with his buddies. Like, there's a difference. There's levels to this shit in preparation and mindset. And John Jones is at that.
John Jones knew what Gahn's FIFA ranking was with his team. He knew what he was ranked in FIFA. He was like, yeah, his team's ranked like something, whatever. And that's what he wants to do. Cool. I'm ready to fight. It's like, there are levels. There are levels, bro.
All right, let's get to Antoine's comment and question. On a quick side note, do you guys think people are underestimating Stipe for the UFC 295 title fight? Stipe was an underdog during his first title reign. J-Spec, what do you think? Underestimating?
I don't think anybody's underestimating. I think that people are putting just the right amount of hope, which I think is almost a little bit too much. Look, I'm not a John Jones fan, but I can put away my discussion of fandom versus what he's done in the octagon, where he's at athletically right now, versus where Stipe is. And we one thing nobody likes is big giant question marks. And what is Stipe like now after all this time, after the knockout? Yes, all that stuff. Like, that's a huge, gigantic question mark. On the other side, long layoffs after a knockout is the exact thing, most things you want to do for a veteran fighter. And does he have one more magic moment in him? Who knows? Because, dude, the thing up for grabs here is that elusive best heavyweight ever unofficially, right? It's most title defenses by Stipe grants him basically that argument. I think it's the kind of the conclusion when you debate that within the UFC. And beating that guy kind of you absorb that shine, if you will. You absorb that that legacy to a degree. And man, John Jones, you know where he's at in his career. He's, like you said, John, he's smart. He's like Mayweather and others great fighters. The fight was halfway decided the moment he made a challenge. Like, once that challenge went public, it was obvious. Like, it was obvious. John Jones is not trying to do this the hard way. He knows where he's at athletically as well. So, as years wise goes, not questioning his fight ability because he's still retardedly good at that. But when it all comes down to it, he's fighting a former, and I hate to say it, a former somebody, and just the right amount of I think the right amount of credibility going to the man at the time, who's John Jones. I think I don't think anybody's discrediting Stipe too much. I think he's been giving more credit than a puncher's chance, and that phrase gets thrown out a lot. He's got more than a puncher's chance here, but he is the underdog, and I'm fine with that.
Crazy Pato says, to be fair, also they want Pavlovich versus Jones because Pavlovich actually earned the right by KOing. Oh, yeah, we know that. Pato, we follow the sport. Of course, he's earned the spot for a title shot without a doubt. I mean, he could probably fought for the title before the Blades fight. It's he has so much hype, but it's not how it works in the UFC. Like, John Jones is the champion. He's been fighting for the UFC for I don't even know how many years now, and he has so many records. He has status. He has somewhat of a say in who he fights, especially if it's going to be his retirement fight, his last fight. And going back to the elite question, I would say elite is top 5, but he has to beat someone in the top 5 to be considered as an opponent for Jones. And honestly, you have to have gold to fight Jones. That's right. And that's why I say Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall back in London, main event. I think that's what you should go with. Antoine Willis, I think Stipe has a real chance. If he doesn't look old, he still has good boxing and amazing wrestling, and layoff might have been good recovery. I think it'll be good. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be good for him as well. Sicko going in and out, all good. You good, Sicko? He's frozen.
Yeah.
Looks like he's checking his nose.
I know.
Anyways, so for Aspinall, for Tybura, I don't know who's next, but I think for Tybura, I don't know who's really next for him. He's fought pretty much everybody, but Aspinall, I think we should see him fight Pavlovich. If not Pavlovich, when I look at the top 15 and people are talking about elite level, he should fight Cyril Gane. I think that's the two options for him, and I think Cyril Gane's pretty interested. Who's Cyril Gane fighting next? Isn't he booked?
I have no idea.
He is booked.
Let me see. I think he's booked for Paris. Let me have a quick look.
Spivak?
Oh, Spivak, right?
Yeah.
So I think you put him against the winner of this fight, Spivak versus Cyril Gane, right? Because maybe they're saving Pavlovich for the winner of Stipe and John Jones. Who knows? But yeah. But with Tom Aspinall, I think he has a pretty high ceiling. I think he's going to be fighting for the title eventually. I mean, he's skilled enough to do it. But right now, everybody's talking about, is he the guy that beat John Jones? We'll probably never get a chance to find out. That's the thing. Anyways, moving on to the co-main event. We had Julia Storenko versus Molly McCann. Molly McCann, a lot of hype around her, even though she's coming off a loss. But when you're in your own country and you could get the crowd to do what she's able to do with the crowd, you're gonna put her in this spot, right? You know, most people would be complaining about it, but there's no reason to complain. It's London, but she goes in there and gets submitted in 1 minute 55 seconds. What'd you think of how all that transpired, Sicko, with her getting
Oh
submitted armbar?
man, just the ground game, the lack of ground game from Molly still. Which you would think, like, the gym she's at and the way they train and the way they talk about the jiu-jitsu, you would think that she would have a better understanding. I mean, just doing all the wrong things, right? I don't, when she's trying to lock up that armbar, she has her grip, she has a grip, she's holding on, she should be stacking, but instead she releases her grips to try to roll and actually just rolls into the armbar for her opponent. So yeah, I mean, a tough one, and just like we were saying, just a bad matchup all around. You have Meatball Molly, you have her as a co-main event because she's supposed to be putting on, she's supposed to be representing. It's there. Why give her somebody that has a really good chance to take her to the ground and submit her, especially because we see what happens when she fights against high-level grapplers? Why give her a girl that can grapple? Why not give her a girl that's going to stand and bang and put on an exciting show for the crowd? Head scratcher for me. And for Meatball Molly, I mean, did anybody expect a lot out of her? I mean, she's been around for a while now, can never really go on a big streak. Has success against the girls, like I said, that are just going to stand in front of her, and she could get some highlight reel finishes, which was cool, but not a lot of expectation here. So for me, not surprised at all.
If you look at her UFC record, man, she's been around for a while. She has 11 fights in the UFC. That's kind of surprising to me, to be honest with you, because I only remember like her last couple. But yeah, she debuted against Jillian Robertson, got choked out, and then she went on a 3-fight win streak, then lost 2, then went on another 3-fight win streak, and now she's on a 2-fight losing streak. Like, she's like in a pattern of 3 straight fight wins and then 2 losses. But these last 2 losses have probably really stood out more than anything else that she's done, right? Because she's getting submitted back to back, first round. Was her her last fight wasn't in the UK, or was it? No, it wasn't in the UK, but or the Aaron Blanchfield fight. But there's nothing wrong with losing to Aaron Blanchfield, and especially there's nothing wrong with losing to Storenko. But that she's gonna try to take you to the ground, right? Because to be honest with you, it's not like she took her down with wrestling. It's almost like she just grabbed her and
just fell on top of her.
Yeah, just fell on top of her. You know what I mean? It was weird. But yeah, it's just Molly McCann. I say you use her for what she's good for, right? She's good for a war, and she's put on some great performances, right? Her wild striking style can result in highlight reel knockouts, right? So put her against, I don't know, anybody that's just going to stand and bang with her. And there's a lot of girls in that division that will stand and bang. So I say that's what you do. I don't want to spend too much time on this fight because really there was nothing to talk about. Storolenko's coming down from bantamweight to flyweight, the much bigger fighter, probably the much stronger one and the more skilled one on the ground. And then Molly McCann made the mistake of trying to engage, and she was actually on her way of getting out. She reversed, right? She swept her, reversed the position, and then just fell into the armbar and then rolled. Right, rolled, but she was going for that belly down armbar, right? So whenever someone's going for the belly down armbar, you have to roll. And then once she rolled, she just got stuck on the fence upside down, and it was over after that. That arm was bent, right? That it looked like, it looked bad. But anyways, anything you guys want to add? J-Spec, you want to add about this performance?
No, not really too much. It's just unfortunate for Molly. I think she's gonna catch a little bit more heat for this, just because the placement of where it is, location, right? It was in London. It was the co-main event. If she drops the ball like this somewhere more anonymously, less in the bright lights, do we even care? No, I don't know how much people care anyways. I think a lot of people understand that it wasn't going to be Molly McCann and Patty Pimblett like roadshow forever. Like, yeah, that those two stars had different trajectories. So yeah,
that's actually a TV show right there. The Patty and Molly roadshow. They should probably do that. You know what I mean?
Don't tell Barstool.
Yo, to me, the fake teeth, right? What are they called? The veneers.
Yeah.
It just weirds me out sometimes, right? Just seeing that on people, and for some reason in the UK it seems much more popular than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of people in the States have veneers.
In the States as
I
well.
don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Two
Probably.
professions that I know for a fact in the States, two professions that always have veneers.
Mm-hmm.
Rappers and boxers. Don't know why. Every American rapper and boxer has veneers. Go figure.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even.
They
'Cause,
traded
like,
in
the people-
it used to be a grill, now it's veneers.
Weird, man. It looks weird because everybody that I know that has veneers, but most of the people that I know that have veneers, they're all from the UK. They're all from the UK, man. Like, and I see them, and it's like, do you even need to brush your teeth?
What?
I would
That's
assume
like for real.
so.
No, I'm just
I
saying,
don't
like, do
know.
you really? They're fake teeth, right? So do you even need to brush them?
I mean, to keep them from staining, I would assume they would still stain the same way.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Whenever I see Molly, I see the veneers. I'm just like, it just looks odd. Like her teeth just look too big for her mouth.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, some are more. It's like all these self-enhancement surgeries, right? Like,
yeah,
some of them are done well, some of them not so much. Some of them look subtle, some of them look real.
And the funny thing is, you could pick with veneers. Like, you could get them a little bit like off color, so they look a little more realistic. Like, hey, you have really nice teeth, but they look a little real. But it just seems like they're like, nah, give me the curliest, straightest, most perfect looking set of teeth.
Yeah.
And then it looks really awkward.
Man, if I guess I'm like lucky to have like regular teeth. You know what I mean? None of my teeth have fallen out. Knock on wood.
I'm lucky to not be rich enough to afford. I'm just kidding.
I don't think you have to be rich, man, to get veneers. Like, I've seen some people that just.
That's just how you end up with the dumb looking ones. You don't want those.
There you go. Don't get dumb looking veneers. Spend some money on them.
Who's better between Meatballs and Connors?
Connors look better, I think, because you could kind of not tell.
You gotta get the money, man. Connor got the money.
For real. Well, she could have sold the Rolex and got the veneers, right? Come on. But anyways, yeah. So to me, that fight was just like, whatever. You know what I mean? Let's move on to the next one. Nathaniel Wood versus Andre Feely. Nathaniel Wood, I think he was moving up in weight, right? He had problems with the bantamweight cut, and he goes against Andre Feely. Andre Feely's been in the UFC for like 10 years plus, has like I don't even know how many fights, and Nathaniel Wood goes in there and does a great job. You know what I mean? What did you think of the performance? It was a unanimous decision. I think Andre Feely hurt him though in the fight. I don't really remember too much of it. J-Spec, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great fan. It was a great time if you're a Wood fan. If you're a Feely fan like myself, it was hard. He lost the fight fair and square. There's nothing to grumble about, but he did have his moment that you're referring to, John, against Wood, but that wasn't enough. It was, what can you say? It was two guys who are good at fighting each other. It was very entertaining. Just when Wood landed a couple of times, more than just those stats, and I'm not going to ever fight the stats, but it only gives one knockdown to each man. There's no like almost knocked or in deep shit category there. And Wood put Feely there a couple of times that won't show up on that stat sheet. It'll show up as a significant strike, but definitely was much more than that. So with all that being said, good showing by Wood. Congratulations. Welcome to the neighborhood, as they say when you move into the weight class. And for Feely, man, good luck, dude. I love watching you fight. I'm a big fan of his. So it was tough for me to see him take a loss, but good work by Wood. Hats off to him.
Feely just doesn't seem like he's getting better at fighting. He just seems like he's who he is, and he just goes in there and whatever he does, right? He's an exciting fighter to watch. I ain't gonna lie.
You nailed it, dude.
Right? But he's just not getting better. And man, I swear to God, he has some of the ugliest tattoos. It just looked like somebody drew on him, like Sicko, like your son went in there with a black pen and just drew on him with it. I don't like it's confusing. Like you see some dudes tatted up, it just looks like art. His just looks like somebody just said, "All right, 15 people come here and you guys all draw some stuff."
Have
Kid,
either of you
have your day.
guys seen him on the UFC Comedy Jam on UFC Fight Pass?
I have not.
No.
Dude,
Funny.
it's the second one. He's part of part 2, and I mean, everybody's great, so just watch it, enjoy it. But Feely, bro, like really hilarious. So his look is funny. He is funny. Maybe he's just a funny guy. You know, it's part, and it shows.
I don't know, but they're keeping him around. You know, he's one of those guys that's exciting all the time. He's always good in good fights. You know, I think that's what his career is. I don't. It's hard to say like if he's gonna go anywhere in the featherweight division. M is correcting me. It's Wood's third straight decision win at featherweight. So he's been at featherweight for a while now. I don't know why I've been thinking that. My mind goes back too far sometimes. So for Feely, you know, new Wood, he called out the Korean Zombie. It's just like, come on, dude, don't be realistic. Call out Lerone Murphy. Don't call out the Korean Zombie. Like, that's not in your wheelhouse. Let's be realistic. When you call people out, be realistic. You're not gonna get the Korean Zombie fight. Korean Zombie is about to get murdered by Max Holloway, and after that happens, he's gonna be gone, man. Let's be real. Let's be realistic. And dude, I was watching some of the videos of like Korean Zombie training. I don't think he's in shape yet. He doesn't look like he's in shape right now. He looked like he's just starting camp.
You heard
and
it
the
here,
fight's
folks.
in August.
You heard it. Follow that guy right there.
And his knee was wrapped up. No, you can watch the videos. It's online. It's on YouTube. Like,
why would you? That's
the Korean Superboy went to Korean Superboy has his own YouTube channel, which is pretty huge as well. And I was watching. I just passed through one of the videos, and it was like him visiting Korean Zombie for his like to train just recently. And the Korean Zombie was like doing fitness stuff. His body didn't look right, and his knee was wrapped up with like all kinds of tape and stuff. And I was just like, that doesn't look good at all. You know, I'm not hating on the Korean Zombie. Korean Zombie is one of the best fighters, you know, that we've ever seen. One of the most exciting fighters, let's just say that, not the best, but one of the most exciting fighters we've ever seen in that cage. But man, this is just not looking good. And if he goes in there and sparks Max Holloway with one punch, that would be incredible. Just to see, and he ends his career like that. That's what I want. Let's just keep it real. I want the Korean Zombie to go into the main event in Singapore, one punch, spark Max Holloway, something that no one's ever did, ever. And probably won't happen. But I'm just saying, like, he Moicano's Max Holloway. What he did to Moicano, like he does it to Max Holloway. So I would love to see that.
Right? Take Robbie Lawler send off and add
that's what I'm saying.
Dust,
and then
add unicorn dust on it. And...
Exactly. Like that would even be a better send off for but the thing is, Robbie Lawler was fighting Nico Price.
Right.
Nico Price and Max Holloway. Come on.
No, I know, right.
Compare
but just
the levels.
To get this, I mean, hey man, this is why they fight, and anything could happen. I mean, if he can be part of the worst or most epic, I don't even say worst because that sounds bad. Most epic finish of all time. Why can't he be part of the most awesome start of all time? Who knows, right? But the reality is, John, and you already said it, I'm not rubbing it in, is, dude, Max is gonna send him right out of the sport, and that's unfortunately the way of all our great warriors. That's I had to watch BJ Penn get kicked out of MMA like 4 times, dude. Like, I understand, but dude, it sucks when the fight is over.
Street fight.
Yeah, it's gonna suck, dude. And this is what the sport is. And Max, you know, props to him. He knows what he's doing. He knows that he's not gonna get a title shot. So instead of fighting one of these killers, he calls out the Korean Zombie because he's gonna get paid the same no matter what. Mm-hmm. And that win bonus it's big. It's big bags for Max Holloway. Think about it. Like, it's a smart move. Like, business-wise for Max Holloway, it's a smart move. It's a good name to add to your resume. Like, you smashed the Korean Zombie. And yeah, man, and you make some money. And that's what it's about, because he's fought killer after killer after killer. He's like, man, I need to take a break a little bit and fight somebody that has a big name, because right now I'm not going to get a title shot. So that's what Max Holloway is doing. We'll be talking about that in the future. It's still, you know, like a month or so away. But yes, we will do that. Anyways, I'm saying I wasn't trying to correct. Oh, it's all good, man. Like I like to be corrected because my mind is not the best at remember things. But yeah, inconsequential, you're right. His victories have not been anything that stood out. That's why he's not going to fight the Korean Zombie. And I don't know why waste your time talking about him. Yeah, it makes headlines, and that's what MMA is about right now, right? It's about saying things just to make a headline on a website somewhere, and maybe it makes onto the major websites, and you get a little, you know, a little love or so, whatnot. And that's what Sean Strickland is the king of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a couple guys, right? Like there's people in MMA media scouring YouTube channels just to get clips out so they could write articles, right? And nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, but that's what MMA media is doing right now. And Nathaniel Wood, he did a good job of kind of getting a little headline, because really, if he didn't say that, would anybody pay attention to anything he said in the pre-fight interviews? Probably not, right? But that's the thing that came out of it, because I'm not sitting there watching all the pre-fight interviews. Get out of here with that shit. Moving on. But before we move on, make sure you guys go in the descriptions, download the AllStar app, make your picks on UFC fights, join J-Specs League, and message Sicko in the DMs and talk shit to him. Anyways, before that, Brianna Frost hooking us up. Super sticker, Brianna Frost. Make sure you guys go follow Brianna Frost on Twitter. Some solid, some A-grade content out there. Go hit the link in her bio for her OnlyFans. You know what I mean? I'm not a subscriber because, you know, I'm married, but I'm just saying it's some good content there.
Please not.
Wink, 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 wink. Anyways, M says he should have called out Murphy. There is heat there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's gonna make the headlines. Like that would be something that's logical. But Murphy's on a different trajectory now. He just beat. We'll get to that fight eventually, right? But before we get into Murphy and Kulabau, let's talk about Paul Craig dropping out of 185 Sicko and going in there and pounding the shit out of Andre Muniz. I didn't expect that fight to end like that. I expected, like, you know, a submission maybe, but pounding him out like that, like he stole something from his backyard and didn't return it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, those dudes that come to your house and they borrow tools and they don't return it ever. Like one of those people. Like he beat the shit out of him like that. Like you stole my drill. You took my drill, never can. You know, because I consider it stealing when you don't return it. When you say you return it. Sicko, what did you think of Paul Craig?
This was a Paul Craig fight if I've ever seen it. There were moments of the fight where it didn't look great. Moments of the fight where you thought maybe he's getting caught, maybe he's having a hard time, and then he pulls it out, and then he does something that you probably didn't expect him to do. And yeah, just got on top. What, he finished in full mount, right? He was just laying down big elbow shots, just beating him up, man. Nasty. But yeah, Paul Craig, interesting now that he's going to make that cut. He looked a little sunken down in the weigh-ins, but it didn't seem to affect him at all. And I mean, if he can make the weight, he's big for the weight class. He's not afraid to fight off his back. You definitely can't have him on top of you. He's interesting. He's really interesting in that weight class because, I mean, you look at this guy's resume and you look at the wins he has, like, you would think this dude should be fighting for the title next. But then you look at some of the losses he has and you're like, I don't even know if he should be top 15. Like, it's just that typical Paul Craig. When you expect a lot from him, he kind of lets you down. When you expect him to get ran through, he'll shock you and surprise everybody. This was just one of those Paul Craig fights to me, where on the feet, it didn't look great again. A couple head kicks that he got in there, but he got head kicked himself a few times. He got taken down. There was an opportunity for Muniz in a triangle. He didn't really have it, the finishing sequence of that triangle, but he got the clamp, that one arm in, one arm out. That looked a little scary. But yeah, Paul Craig, just another big win, another good win for him, and in a new weight class now. So I'm interested to see what they do with him next. He's going to be ranked, obviously, in the middleweight division. But, man, who do you give him? Where do you go? His call out was interesting. I doubt that they do that, but it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here on out in that division, especially.
Yeah, he was the underdog as well in this fight heading into it. You see the odds on the screen, plus 190.
That's the only time he wins.
Yeah. And
Every
he's
time.
usually when he wins, he's losing.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then
Yeah.
he pulls it out his ass.
Mhm.
Right. He's like a magician. He's an interesting character. He's had it, like you said, he's had an interesting career. Like you see the names. He dislocated Jamal Hill's arm, and Jamal Hill was the champ or is the champ. I don't know,
Let's just
whatever
say
you want to
is.
think it is. Yeah, he's still the champ, right? But yeah. So if you look at it, he's gonna throw himself back into the rankings. There's some interesting fights for him. But the thing is, he's always going to be limited. He's going to reach a certain level, and then he's going to get that reality check, right? Because his striking is not on par with a lot of these guys. And once you keep that fight standing for so long, like you erase 70% of Paul Craig's opportunities if you don't go to the ground,
Mhm.
right? And I think if Andre Muniz would have stayed on his feet, in his last fight, Andre Muniz stayed on his feet and tried to strike with his opponent. I think if he had done that, he would have won a decision. Because I think Andre Muniz is a little bit better on the feet, but he didn't. He went to the ground. He got his takedowns. Paul Craig got his take. You know what I mean? It was just bad game planning, I think, for Andre Muniz. And hey, talk about a fighter that has hit a cliff. Andre Muniz, man. I had high hopes for Andre Muniz. I think we all got clouded with judgment because he submitted Jacare. And this was Jacare at like 40 years old, not Jacare
Right.
at 30 years old. I think we got lost in the sauce with that. And now we're seeing like how good Andre Muniz is right now at this point. And he's not as good. He's not a top 15 fighter because he's been washed by the top 15 fighter. So he's gone from the top 15. Craig, he's calling out what? Who did he call out? J-Spec Hamzat? Is that what
Did he call it? I couldn't hear some of the post-fight commentary or mid-fight commentary because I got the headset on for the spaces. So did he call out Hamzat? Is that what
It
happened?
was Bo, if I'm not mistaken, Bo Nickel.
Oh, Bo Nickel, yeah. I
That's
think
cute.
Bo Nickel beats him.
Yeah,
see
he
what
was
Bo
saying,
Nickel's gonna do.
Bo Nickel's gonna take me down, and I'm just really good on my back.
Bo
I
Nickel's
was
not
like,
gonna
dude,
take you down.
Bo Nickel is gonna
ridiculous.
pop you. Like,
Yeah,
he'll
he's
knock
gonna
you out.
pop
And if he
you.
does take you down, I don't think you're submitting Bo Nickel off your back, dude. Bo is a very underrated. Go back and watch Bo Nickel versus Gordon Ryan and tell me if you think it's gonna be easy to submit him off your back. Unless you're Gordon Ryan, it's gonna be tough.
It is. It's tough. Now let's get to Lerone Murphy, Josh Kulabau. I thought that was a good fight. Lerone Murphy hurt Josh Kulabau, I believe, third round, but it was competitive fight. It looked like Lerone was edging him. Lerone physically looked like he was stronger, and I think that was the difference maker. And once he found his footing, Lerone, took over and won that fight. A great performance for him. He's still undefeated. J-Spec, what do you think, Lerone? What's his ceiling? What do you think? How far he can go in that featherweight division?
Man, I'm gonna keep it honest. I had picked him right up into the fight, and then our space right before the fight, I switched. I jumped over to Team Kulabau, and I'm still paying for it today, and it's Sunday, and I'm still thinking about that choice. And so, what does that mean to this grand scheme of MMA? Who knows? But I will say that I had the wrong feeling, man. I thought Kulabau was gonna figure him out somewhere along the line, and somehow I think you nailed it, John. Honestly, the athleticism of Murphy, you could see it in their body types. There was a difference of their conditioning, so to say, their physical appearance. Pretty obvious who the stronger person was, and that allowed Murphy to just be a little bit sooner in the grappling department to the next step, if you will. And I think that just slowly added up, and Kulabau slowly but steadily got further and further from winning the race, even the fight. But like a race, just fell back from any chance of victory is what I was getting to. And Murphy, shoot, what can we hope for? Another undefeated prospect, and winning. I will put no limits on you folks. Your limit is your own at this point. This is a magical place in combat to have a few legitimate victories, be answering the call to the hype or people talking about you, and Man, so good luck to you. I have no idea. I have no idea to the question I want to ask, and probably the question John's going to ask is what's up with Kulabau, man? Like, was it a bad day at the office just for him? Was the weight cut too much? I like the guy, so it was just weird to see him just one step behind it, as I said earlier.
No, I don't think it's that. You know, Kulabau, he's talented, he's athletic. Don't let the body fool you. You know what I mean? Like, but Lerone was just stronger. You know what I mean? He just had a better performance that day, and Lerone hurt him. You know, once you get hurt, especially like something that looked like it shouldn't hurt, it must have hurt real bad. You know what I mean? To the point where he dropped and pulled guard, basically fell to his back. Kulabau, he'll still be one of the guys coming up, man. It's his first loss at featherweight. You know, he debuted against Jalen Turner at lightweight. Think about that. Debuted
Right.
short
Crazy.
notice in New Zealand against Jalen Turner, and we know what Jalen Turner can do. And he went in there and went to decision. Like Kulabau, one thing about Kulabau, he's tough as shit because he didn't get finished by Jalen Turner, I don't believe. Yeah, and Lerone Murphy wasn't able to finish him. But that was to me, that was a good fight. Maybe something was wrong, but there's still a lot, I think, to develop with Kulabau. Lerone Murphy looks like he's just a little bit more polished overall. But man, Lerone, the dude got shot in the face multiple times, survived that, then got hit by a car on his bike and got head trauma like a motherfucker and survived that. And now he's a top 15 fighter. Sicko, what do you do with him? Like, who do you put him against? You know, the 10 through 15, you got Movsar Evloev, Sodiq Youssef, Bryce Mitchell, Dan Ige, Edson Barbosa, Alex Caceres. Who do you match him up against?
I mean, the Caceres fight. I mean, anybody really at the edge of that top 15 makes sense. Like, you give them that opportunity to crack into it. I don't know exactly who's matched up yet with who in the bottom there. But yeah, I mean, any one of them that's available, you go ahead and pick for Murphy to see, especially when you're undefeated. Like, this is your time to move on up and crack in. But for Murphy, I don't want to see him jump too high. Like, I don't want to see him try to get into the top 5 as quickly as possible. I want him to be treated like a nice Texas brisket, a nice slow cook, man. Let that thing cook slow and then get the best possible finish when it's done. Don't rush him too soon. He's not at that stage in his career where it's like now or never, but he is at the stage of his career where it's like now's the time to crack into the top 15. But I want him to crack in at like 15. I want him to crack in very close to the bottom. I don't want him to jump to 9 or 8 or 6 or something like that too soon. Let him slow burn for a little bit for now.
Let Rome cook. That's
That's
the new shirt for Lerone Murphy. Let Rome cook.
Yeah,
Let Rome cook. Let him cook. Yeah. I don't think he's in a big hurry. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing with his career, and that's why he targeted the 10 to 15 because he knows that that's the perfect, right there, perfect level of where he should go next. Test out stuff. And, a lot of people are like, oh, he doesn't have that many finishes. But there's a lot of guys that have decisions. And then when they get to the top 15, they start to finish guys because that's when they start to become who they are. And even Lerone told me himself, he said, man, sometimes I fight to the level of my opponent. And he says he just needs to stop doing that. You know what I mean? Sometimes he does that. Sometimes the guys are not that good, but he fights to their level. And sometimes that could work in your favor if you're fighting against someone like let's say a Giga Chikadze or something like that. Maybe that'll push him to the level of Giga Chikadze, right? Who knows? Yeah. But we'll find out. By the end of the year, I think he'll be matched up against somebody. And he's a guy, man, that I really enjoy talking to. I think he's a good dude. Like he's one of those cold assassins, man. The dude got shot in the face, did I tell you, multiple times and survived.
That should be his next fight, John. That should be his next against the Grim Reaper. He's 2-0 against him. Give him another shot, dude.
And he got hit by the car and he came back. It's just
death.
Like,
if he's not introduced that way every single time throughout life, like, hey, this is the guy that got shot in the face and survived. Like that should be your entrance into every scenario in the rest of your life.
Well, if he makes it to the top and they start doing like countdowns and stuff, they're gonna go deeper into that stuff and put it out in the public eye a little bit more because that's his story, man. And it's not like he was like training as a little kid or like he just kind of picked this up 5 years ago or something like that. Like he's just a talented fighter, which is insane, right? Some guys that just good at fighting and picking up stuff. But he told me that he watches his mid sessions back. He's like really engrossed in MMA. Like he really studies himself a lot as well. So shout out to Lerone. always been a good dude, always always easy to get a hold of and do interviews and stuff like that. Anyways, let's move on to the next. Actually, let's move on to the prelims. Anything stand out about the prelims? These prelims are fucking long, man. There were so many fights in the prelims, but they were all like decision after decision after decision. Epic fail of the night was Shauna Bannon. She's getting hyped all week, right? She's like Conor McGregor, and then she goes out there. Like, I've never seen her fight. I'm just gonna be honest with you. This is my first introduction to Shauna Bannon. I never seen her fight, but I see all the hype that's going on surrounding her. You know what I mean? Kind of similar to like Molly McCann in a way, right? Just way earlier in the career. And she goes out there, and that was, I don't know, man. Like, I was very underwhelmed by that performance. But for you guys, what stood out, in the prelims? That we'll start with you, J Spec.
I'll go with Johnny Parsons coming in with that sweet mullet, taking care of business. Getting that first dub in the UFC. He was kind of a nice shining bright moment. That kind of, I don't know, does him and Michael Parkin, right? Both those guys made their debuts and got through it and looked good doing it. So, well, yeah, mainly Johnny Parsons, dude. I remember him when we were doing our Dana White Contenders series watch party, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I can't wait to watch this guy fight again." And he wins. So, good job, Mr. Parsons.
Danny Roberts, man, he's a guy that I feel like never fought to the potential of his skill set. And he just goes in there. This is like every Danny Roberts fight pretty much, where he does really well and he's hurting the guy, he's landing, and then all of a sudden he just hits a wall, and then the other guy takes over and Danny Roberts gets finished. Sicko, what stood out about you?
I was just going to touch on the Shauna Bannon and Bruna Brazil. I apologize to Bruna Brazil. I'm sorry. When we saw her Contender Series, she had a highlight reel KO in the Contender Series. I was so on Bruna Brazil, and then she lost her debut, and I jumped off. I was like, I'm going to jump off, and it's my fault. I should have known. After watching The Ultimate Fighter, I should have known that if Conor McGregor is endorsing you, you're probably going to lose. I should have known that. That's my fault. I will never do that again. If Conor says this person is endorsed by me, I will 100% pick against them from now on. But yeah, I mean, she was supposed to be this kickboxing wizard and got out kickboxed. Like, this was a striking battle. Is exactly what they were hoping for Bannon to go out there and, she's bouncy and Conor McGregor stay flowy. And she just got her leg chopped up. She got punched in the face over and over again. She did not look very good. So, it's one of those situations, man. Somebody comes in with some hype and they gave her a fight that kind of favored her in style. But if I'm not mistaken, she was the underdog, right? Or maybe it was really, really close. But she wasn't a heavy favorite in this fight.
No, because of the hype, man.
Yeah, you would think that when you have the hype and you have the Conor endorsement, they would give you a straight can. And
Bruna Brazil just got knocked out, I believe, in her last fight against Gomes, and we know what Gomes can do.
Exactly.
You saw her last fight.
Speaking of which, Gomes, I'm sorry. I dislike you with everything I have. All right, it's not your fault. You're doing what you're supposed to do. But I had high praise for Bruna Brazil, and you made me look stupid. Then I had even higher praise for Yasmin Jauregui, and you made me look even more dumb. So I need you to stop knocking out my favorite female athletes. Okay, please stop doing it.
Oh, they're gonna put her against somebody that you really, really like next time.
Dude, it's gonna be some like Alexa Grasso coming off her loss and knocks her out around. Like, what the hell, dude? Yeah. She's gonna knock out Sean O'Malley in a street fight. Like, I'm tired of seeing this girl knock out all my favorites. But yeah, I mean, for Bruna, I'm sorry. I was really high on you. You lost to Gomes. We know she's a killer. So, and that was your debut. Maybe Bruna Brazil is really good, and maybe Shauna could be pretty good, but it wasn't a good showing for her. Could be, hey, this was my debut. I mean, again, we're talking about a fighter in Bruna Brazil, lost in her debut. That could be the butterflies. That could be the big stage of, oh shit, here we are. Okay, now I'm settled in. Now I know what to feel. Now I know what to expect. And then Shauna having that feeling of, this is my debut. All eyes are on me. I'm endorsed by Conor. They're interviewing this prelim fighter. They're giving her a bunch of airtime. And then she comes out and kind of shits the bed. So maybe she'll bounce back and be good in her next fight. I'm still excited to see her fight, or not excited, but curious. In her next fight, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to who she's matched up with and see if there's any improvement. Maybe this one was just a first time out, the big stage jitters. Hopefully.
Well, she shouldn't. I thought she should have been on Contender Series, man. Like she only has 5 fights, and it's not like she has like crazy power in anything. Like it's not like she has crazy power in her hands, or her kicks don't seem like they're really affecting.
It's a lot of lead leg side
Yeah,
kicks.
yeah, it's like
push
some
kicks, stuff like that.
You guys are
Yeah.
being so polite. She
sucks.
she wasn't even close. She never found her range, not once. Everything about what she did looked amateur. It looked like the amateur hour out there. Like, I'm not even kidding. Go watch some Bellator free prelims where they have amateurs early to open the show before the arena's barely open, and you're gonna see that same level of combat. That's the kind of stuff that I'm against, and I'm not shitting on her personally, but there's many matches that they make like that. And this is, once again, we're supposed to buy into the UFC as the top of the sport, but you got girls out there that look like she couldn't even win rounds in cardio kickboxing class. Like, come on, man. Like,
And she's a kickboxing champion. That's the crazy part, right?
Yeah, that's
Like,
the
she's a
crazy part.
multiple-time kickboxing
Yeah.
champion. She has real
Who was she
accolades in
fighting?
kickboxing.
Bruno Brazil also, we gotta remember, in the 3rd round, she almost gave the fight away. I don't know what she was doing in the 3rd round, where she was like trying to coast, and that could have been a perfect opportunity for Bannon to kind of go after the finish, because she was just getting hit in the 3rd round. She's just kind of like lost focus. It was weird, man, to see that happen in the middle of that round. But yeah, man, Bruno Brazil gets her first UFC victory. Good for her. Another thing that stood out about the prelims was Yanal Ashmus breaking his arm. He did the same thing Dan Hooker. He broke his arm he blocked a kick, broke his arm in the 1st round, and then fought for the rest of the fight. To me, that made the fight pretty interesting, because he wasn't swinging his arm, but he was swinging everything else with all power. And Chris Duncan did a great job of avoiding a lot of the shots, and had got a great win, man. I thought he did a great job. He didn't get the finish, and everybody's like, how could you not finish the guy with the broken arm? Dude, this is high level fighting, dude. You don't have to finish everybody. You get the same amount of money if you win or you finish. You just need to win. Chris Duncan, man. Yeah, exactly. And I think Chris Duncan, he's getting better. Like, he looked way better than he did in his debut, and he trains with Poirier and what's his name, Grant Dawson. I've spoken with him a few times. Yeah, looks like he's doing much better in his life, which is good, man. Great. Yeah, that's it. Penny Kanzad, she got wrestled for 2 rounds. The 3rd round, she turned it around, but it was just too late. It's not a title fight, so you only need 2 out of 3 rounds. You know what I mean? So she was coming off a long layoff as well. Keep that in mind. But yeah, Caitlin Vieira, if you think she's gonna get a title shot, that's not gonna happen. That's not a performance you're gonna get a title shot off of. Joel Alvarez, I think he headbutted to Casey and then choked him out, which is a crazy end to the fight. You know what I mean? But whoever thinks that that's going to get overturned, that's not going to happen. When's the last time you saw someone get overturned?
It doesn't happen right then in the octagon.
Exactly. Exactly. They should have done it right there in the octagon.
And why didn't we saw it not too long ago?
Because that was Las Vegas. That was Nevada. Thing. Yeah, I think Nevada's the first. I don't know who else adopted it next, but London doesn't have that, and that is a new standard.
Universal rules, man. We need universal rules. Dude.
I think that's a great.
Saying this.
Thank you, man. That's exactly the train I was about to hop on right there. Universal rules. Yeah. It's not that hard. Like, come on, people. Like,
get it together.
All right, let's get into next week's card a little bit. Let's talk about it, because it's a massive pay-per-view, and we need to talk about it before we go.
Let's do it.
The BMF title is on the line, which means pretty much nothing except for more money for the fighters, and it's good. You know what I mean? Whatever. But this is just a banger of a matchup. You got a rematch between Dustin Poirier and Justin. You see that their name Justin and Dustin, it kind of confuses you when you say it, right? It could be like Justin Poirier.
I've seen
that could be a real fighter, right? Eventually, we'll see a Justin. We'll have a Justin Poirier and a Dustin Gaethje. Dustin Gaethje sounds better though.
That sounds
I like
hard.
Dustin Gaethje. That's a solid name. But anyways,
trustworthy mechanic.
Predictions on this fight. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna take Dustin Poirier in this one. I think Dustin Poirier is just better, and I think he's gotten better since the first fight. And I think Justin Gaethje, he's pretty much the same fighter he was. You know, a lot of people look at the Fiziev fight, and I think he showed a lot more patience in that fight, but Fiziev was piecing him up and on the feet. Fiziev looked like he got more. He looked like he was damaged more because he was bleeding. But I think Fiziev won that fight, and people are gonna forget that, and they're gonna go into this fight and say like, "Oh, Justin's gonna have a chance." And I don't know what you guys think, but I think Dustin Poirier wins this fight. I think he finishes him. But I think it's gonna be a long fight. They're gonna bang it out. Sicko, let's start with you. Early predicts.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ride with you, man. I'm gonna have to pick Dustin. The thing about Gaethje, Dustin Gaethje is who I'm picking. Yeah, it's a cop out. Nah, Poirier's my pick. You know, the thing with Gaethje though is he really, really damaged Dustin's leg, man. He really hurt that leg, that lead leg of Poirier, and I can see him doing that again. That's definitely going to be part of that game plan. But I just don't like that Gaethje gets hit a lot, and Poirier does have legit power. Like, we've seen Poirier hurt dudes, man. I mean, when's the last time we saw Poirier fight and he didn't have somebody legitimately hurt? I just think Poirier's going to catch him. I think Poirier's going to land the cleaner shots, and Poirier's probably going to – I don't think this fight goes to decision. I really don't. I think Poirier gets a TKO or even a KO. But the only thing for me, if you're a fan of Justin Gaethje, you really are betting on those leg kicks mounting up, or maybe that Poirier is thinking too much about those leg kicks, knowing that he was hurt, knowing that he could barely fucking walk on that leg the last time they fought, and maybe he's thinking about it too much, and that opens him up for something else. Like, that's the only thing you could lean on. But if I'm just going skill for skill, I think Poirier is just a little bit cleaner, and that's why I would have to give the edge to Dustin Poirier.
That's the thing, man, about Poirier. He is one of the calmest dudes in the chaos. Like, you could be in some of the wildest exchanges, and he'll look at his opponent and point his finger at them and be like, you know, he does that thing like, okay, I got you now. Even though he's bloody, he got hit with massive shots, and he's just like, oh, I got you. That's how smart he is, too.
That was my read.
Like, he's like a computer, right? Like, he just, in those exchanges, he can read people so well. And yeah, man, I just think that, you know, overall, like, if they fight 10 times, I just see Poirier winning at least 8 times out of 10. You know what I mean? Gaethje eventually will win one fight. You know what I mean? This is fighting, but just like skill for skill. But the thing is, the altitude, okay, elevation. Sorry, the elevation. Will it have a factor? J-Spec, what's your pick? What do you think of the elevation? Will it be a factor?
Man, I wanted to go with Poirier, and you guys all jumped on Poirier. It's making me want to go the other way, just for the chaos. But no, these guys are. I don't. Okay, throw away the BMF belt bullshit thing. But when you think about like genuine awesome fights from guys that there's nothing but good things to say about in general, like they're both warriors, they both hit hard, they both got chins, they both all this stuff just check. Like, this is epic. Like, this is big time fighting, and I hope people are going to be into this one as much as they deserve to be. I hope the silly goose BMF title thing doesn't. I hope people don't even talk about it, to be honest, but that's a whole nother topic. The topic is this fight is going to be fucking awesome. Like, there's so few fights that I want to jinx and go, oh, fight of the night, because I've done that wrong so many times. But this just seems like an automatic scrap. How long it lasts? Good luck, gentlemen. Don't know. Could care less, because I just know it's going to be awesome. And Poirier is, with all puns intended, the sharper, cleaner, more polished Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Like, it's 100% him this time.
And also, I think that the winner of this fight fights for the title. I think it's a title eliminator. They might not be talking about it as a title eliminator, but I think this is what's going to happen. Either guy is going to get a title shot. And I don't think they have many fights left for both guys. You know what I mean? Like, the new wave is coming The new wave is coming right now, and these dudes only have a few fights left until that new wave comes and just levels everybody else, just pushes everybody else. You know what happened to Tony Ferguson, right? It's going to eventually happen to these guys if they stay
If they
around
stick
too
around
long.
too long.
Exactly, right? And I think the UFC knows that. The UFC knows everything.
Well,
They know that they need to squeeze out as much as they can from these guys before they either retire or fall into the trajectory of the downward trajectory of Tony Ferguson. And ironically, Tony Ferguson is on this card.
And I don't
On the
think they
main
want to
card.
do that either, man. I don't think they want to fight the new crowd. I
They
think
don't.
both of them. I mean, listen, you could call it the BMF. I'm calling this the battle of the bridesmaids. Like, always a bridesmaid, never a bride for these two. Both interim champions, both never actually got that undisputed title. That's what this is. They're older. They've been around for so many wars, man. They don't have that many miles left on them. They don't want to fight a Sarukian and a Gamrot and all that. They don't want to do that, man. I want to win this fight.
Stylistic nightmares for those guys.
I think the loser might retire. I think the loser's site says that was it. I'm gone. The winner is probably going to retire very soon. I think the winner's like, I get the title shot next. This is finally my last chance to become the undisputed champion. If I can't do it, then that just means I couldn't do it, and they're going to retire if they can't do it either. So I don't even think they're going to fight the Sarukians and these dudes, man. I really don't.
The thing about this is, which is good for the UFC, is either guy has fought Islam. So whoever wins, it's a fresh matchup for the title. So if Islam beats Oliveira, it's a fresh matchup for Islam. Like Islam will welcome that, right? And
even if Charles wins, that's still a good. There's still a storyline.
Oh yeah, there's good
because they both dropped Charles.
Yeah.
They both had Charles hurt in those fights.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you can still have
So
the rematch isn't crazy to have.
And even think of this, you know what I mean? Like the winner fights Volk for the BMF title. Like I could see that happening as well too, because Volk is interested in the BMF title. You know what I mean? Like that would be a fucking crazy matchup, right? Gaethje versus Volk, Volk versus Poirier. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like it opens up a lot. I know the BMF title really doesn't mean anything in our eyes, but it does mean something. It does mean something in the promotional aspect of the game. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Let's go to the co-main event. Blachowicz versus Pereira. J-Spec, do you think this should be for the vacant light heavyweight title?
No. And the only reason why I say no is Pereira is coming up a weight class with no wins in the weight class, losing the title. If you're still granting him the champion's privilege to like that some have had in the past when he's still the reigning champ of the light heavyweight division, then cool. But now, to me, that's not cool. So I'm fine with it being exactly what it is. What should be one half of who is gonna fight for that title, right? I mean, that's probably what it should be. I don't know how that's gonna work out or whatever, but yeah, Alex Pereira, I love the guy. He's my pick for this fight, so don't think I'm hating against him. I just think that to come in off of a loss in a lower weight class and immediately get a title shot, it's kind of demeaning to the whole structure of weight classes and titles. So I don't know.
Sicko, what do you think of this matchup, man? What's your early pick for this one?
Woo, man. Golly. I think too many people are putting too much on the Hyon and Izzy fight. Like, Pereira and Izzy are very different in their approach. Pereira's very big, dude. Like, I don't care what people say. Pereira might have terrible wrestling defense. He might not be a good grappler. We can see that. But it's still harder to take down the bigger guy. Like, if Pereira just has just enough of an ability to keep this fight standing, man, there's something in me that says that Pereira is going to knock him out. There's just something that says that this dude's just going to put one shot on him, that one clean touch, and put Hyon out. And I can see him attacking that leg like he always does, having Hyon a little bit timid. And if you're a little bit timid against Pereira, man, he's going to put you against the fence and he's going to land bombs on you. I mean, those odds are shoot. That's a toss-up. I mean, yeah, I'm going with Alex. I am, for whatever reason. And I might be crazy. I know a lot of people think Hion's just going to take him down, hold him down. I could definitely see that happening. But I just have a weird gut feeling that says Alex is going to drop that freaking stone hand on him.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight, man. Blachowicz, you know, he's talked about going in there and testing his striking abilities against Pereira, and Pereira is a multiple promotional champion in the striking arts, right? He's beaten the best in the world in the striking, and you want to test yourself in the small gloves? It's like it's like, let's say it's like Mighty Mouse. It's not comparable, but I'm saying it's like Mighty Mouse going in and fighting Superlek with MMA gloves on.
Yeah.
Think of it like that.
Yeah.
And some people watching this might not know who Superlek is, but I'm just saying.
Please get familiar. Please get familiar.
Get familiar. But I'm just saying that's what it would be like.
Baby.
Yeah, it's just it's not a smart thing to do. That's why the Mighty Mouse versus Rodtang fight was 1 round Muay Thai, 2nd round MMA. There's a reason for that, because it kind of balances it out, right? And it actually favors Rodtang, to be honest.
Yeah, because you get the first round on your terms.
But the 2nd round came and Mighty Mouse choked him out unconscious, right?
Quickly.
We saw that coming. But yeah, if he goes in there and does that, yes, Pereira is going to have a field day, right? But I think Pereira is going to be ready for the takedowns. The one thing that Blachowicz does well on the feet is the calf kicks, right? The calf kicks, the leg kicks. He did it against Ankalaev and was able to kind of neutralize him a little bit. If he's able to hurt him early on and then wrestle, then it's a different story. Pereira is just going to get smothered and probably end up getting finished on the ground somehow, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird, man. We're picking the guy that's moving up in weight against a former champ. I'm going to pick Pereira as well in this one. I think Pereira is able to probably catch him, right? And I think he's going to be prepared, and he's going to be much bigger. He's 6'4". Blachowicz is 6'2".
Yeah.
Right? And 2-inch reach advantage. And as well, probably going to be just as big, but taller and longer, right? And the one thing is,
I was gonna say, just adding on to that, let's not forget, Blachowicz ain't young. He's 40. Like, any one of these fights where he's at now is when that expiration date hits you right in the face. Like, Father Time goes, sorry, son. Like, this is that fight where you look every day of your age.
And one thing good about Pereira's too is, like, his stance is good for defending takedowns, because his hands are always really low.
Yeah.
So kind of is already in a position to where he could kind of get underneath if he has to. Yeah, Pereira, he's a cheat code, because he fights the way you should never fight. But it works. Straight
up, hands down, hands
exactly.
low, kind of prots towards you, really gets in your face. Like, everything. But no matter what, when he does it, even as somebody watching, right, Izzy's probably one of the most talented strikers we've ever seen. But yet when Pereira moves forward, we go, oh my God, Izzy's in danger. Izzy's in danger. The whole time. You just danger. Man, he
stranger really, danger.
Yeah, he really has. He really has that.
Yeah,
power.
Man. I'm glad he's in MMA, man. I'm glad he's fighting for the UFC. And watching him do what he does, that's why I want MVP to go to the UFC as well. I want to see what MVP, Michael Venom Page, can do.
There's so many.
A lot of people underestimate him, man. Like, his speed and the angles that he comes in with, like, it's going to be a problem for a lot of people at the highest level. And some people think, like, oh, he's been fighting up. Dude, don't underestimate.
Well, I think it's what you're doing, though, John, I think is thinking about potential matchups, and your definition of success in the UFC, I think, is different than other people's, right? I'm not going to go out and call people names, but I think other people are like, oh, he'll never beat Kamaru Usman. Where it's like, no, but that's not what we're talking about here. Like, you don't have to beat Kamaru Usman to be successful. Like, what we're talking about is, how does he match up against some of these other guys that are going to stand and strike with him? Like, how fun would him and Wonderboy be? You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're looking at. And if you think that he has no chance against guys that are going to keep it standing with him, you're crazy. Go watch him.
Against Ian Gary. Like, him against
Ian Gary would be
not Brendan Allen. Ian Gary, you know what I mean? There's a couple guys. Pereira, who's fighting on this card against
Michel Pereira.
Yeah, Michel Pereira. Like, he's fighting against Stephen Thompson. Like, against him too. There's so many good matchups. You know what I mean? You could start him off with. And I think he's on his way, though. I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to get signed, and he's going to be matched up real soon. Probably end up making his debut in London somewhere early next year or something like that, or maybe at the end of the year on a pay-per-view. Maybe he might be on that New York card. Who knows, right? But yeah, there's a lot of stuff for him. coming up. Now, let's get some quick picks before we get out of here from this card. Let me put the card on the screen. So you guys are taking Poirier in the main event. You guys are taking Pereira in the co-main. What about this fight? Ferguson versus Green. Sicko, who you got?
Man. Oh man, I my heart doesn't want to keep seeing Tony Ferguson get beat the hell up, but my brain tells me Bobby Green is gonna piece him up. It's going to just be a clinic. Ferguson's gonna be bloody. There might be a standing stoppage like it was against Gaethje, where he's just. I mean, there's some way Ferguson could take it to the ground. Maybe, I don't know. But Ferguson. The only thing I hope is that he gets out of this fight not without much more significant damage, and then that's it, man. If you go out there and lose to Bobby Green, that's it. Please stop. Especially in the UFC, like, you gotta stop fighting. Look at the dang record, man. It's nothing but red lights. It's the red light district right now for Tony Ferguson.
Ooh.
Man, you gotta stop losing. Like, I just don't see how he beats a guy like Bobby Green, who, I mean, he always looks good. Like, Bobby Green always looks slick, always looks good. He's got fast hands, the way he's in and out, how unorthodox he is. I just can't see a situation in which Tony Ferguson wins. I'm rooting for him. I don't want to see him keep going out like this, but I think Bobby Green is going to piece that man up pretty badly, and I'm not going to be happy about it.
Well, the styles bring an interesting matchup. It's going to be a fun fight while it lasts, right? J-Spec, who you got? Fergs?
Yeah, I'm actually not going with Tony Ferguson, but I'm going to defend his case for winning here. This is okay. Ferguson should not be fighting. We all can agree on that point. But most importantly, this is the kind of fight, if he has any chance of fighting, a veteran who's been taking some KO losses, a veteran that is really, really awesome for a round, and then, looks his age. Yeah. And if Ferguson can put together some, thoughtful game plan, this is the type of fighter, type of scenario where he can get a win. At least he's fighting a realistic challenge. Now, do I think he beats Mr. Green? No, I don't. Bobby Green should, in the eyes of the public, and I'm speaking for the many people I've heard say this already, he should light him up so bad in the first round that there's just no coming back from it, and he'll just, probably finish him in the second.
There you go. Next fight, Costa. No, Costa's not fighting. Oh, Chiesa versus Holland. Quick pick. J-Spec.
Holland. There you go. Quick.
There you go. What do you got, Sicko?
Chiesa by submission.
Yeah, I'm taking Chiesa by submission as well. I think Holland plays around too much. And when you play around against like a submission guy, it's not going to work out too well, especially if he gets a hold of you. But I think Chiesa will end up chasing him around quite a bit. All right, Thompson versus Pereira. This is the fight I think is going to be the tightly matched. Well, they're all tightly matched, but this one is going to be. This card is fire, right? Like, this card is fire. Sicko, yeah, Thompson, Wonder Boy, or Pereira.
Give me Wonder Boy.
J-Spec.
Give me Pereira.
I like it.
All right, there you go. There you go, man. Next week or this coming up weekend, fire card, Salt Lake City, UFC 291, Poirier versus Gaethje, the rematch. Everybody will be tuned in. Make sure you guys download the app, the AllStar app, in the descriptions. Make your picks for the fights. Accumulate points. Go join J-Spec's league. Play against J-Spec. Play against me. Play against Sicko. Make sure you guys go to Sicko's YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. Watch his Sicko Sports podcast. He covers all Texas teams. You can see in the background San Antonio Spurs, Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, that's about it. You guys got anything else rolling with you guys that you guys want to promote? J-Spec, of course, you have the what is it? Spaces for every show.
Yeah, of course, man. So once again, we'll be having a watch along for the UFC event. So come on by Twitter Spaces, this handle, or Sicko, he'll be there too. And all you got to do is download the AllStar app, which you probably already have by now. Join J-Spec's Prize League. Be the best picker in the space because it's a pay-per-view event. We're lucky we have so many fights this month. So you'll not only is this weekend for the championship of the month, so someone will be winning autographed memorabilia. Someone will be winning in the space. And we have a special gift going out for this week. For this week's prize is a autographed T-shirt by Marcus Maniac McGee. You'll be seeing it on our timeline coming throughout this week. So just lots of cool stuff. So thank you for letting me say that, John. Thank you.
There you go. And Sicko, what do you got going on?
Hey, Rob, let me ask you a question, man. Is there anywhere that I can watch that fight if I don't want to go somewhere out or get the pay-per-view on there through ESPN Plus? Is there any way I can watch that?
There's an amazing place you can watch that at nvstream702.com. Get all the information you need to start streaming all the best in live events and movies, TV series on demand. And thank you. There you go, bro.
Got you.
There you go. NV Streams. Make sure you guys go download that. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Go follow them on Twitter as well. And that's it. That's it. We'll be back. Actually, yes, we'll be back next week. Yes, we'll be back next week. I'm actually going to be moving, so I don't know exactly like if I'll be able to do the show next week, but I'll let you guys know online. But yeah, I'll probably be able to do it. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. I just got to get internet and everything hooked up at my new spot.
You just have to move nations, bro. Not that big of a deal. Good, no blessings to you, bro.
But it's not that hard though. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's gonna be that difficult. You know what I mean? So hopefully,
I sound like he was moving down the block, right? He made it sound like he was moving down the street. Like,
yeah, I moved states, and I think I'm doing the most epic adventure of human existence. This guy's
but getting internet hooked up, it's not that difficult. Yeah, so hopefully, I have everything set up by that day. But we'll be back same time, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. What time is it in Texas at the
7
when we start? 7?
Yeah, 7.
No, when we start the show.
Yeah, 7.
Oh, 7?
5.
It's
5 for
5
Pacific.
There you go. Everybody, thank you for joining us, and we'll be back. Peace, grease,